could you share some real-world examples of how multi-agent generative systems have been maybe successfully implemented in manufacturing?
A large critical infrastructure, like an airport, for example, large water reservoirs that needs to be filled. And what we want to do is maintain it at a certain critical level, so we can't go below the minimum. And we want to fill the tank. Now, anyone can do that. Standard control systems can do that. There's no problem with that. The one challenge that we have is when it's operator driven, we're really struggling to find people that want to do that work now. It's not great work. And so there's a big skills shortage as well as a skills gap that's emerging in manufacturing, oil and gas, mining infrastructure like this. And I'll give you a manufacturing example in a minute as well, but to just finish on this one. So what we have in this water reservoir filling is we also want to only fill when the electricity price is low, because these are large and it's a significant impact. We can reduce the cost of energy significantly by only pumping when the electricity price is low, because the price varies. So now we have two conflicting objectives. So a team of 6 agents, one of them being an operations agent, one of them being an energy forecaster. Because what you want is the energy forecaster is trained, specialized, and has a PhD in energy forecasting. It will determine what's the price now. And we also don't want to switch the pump on and off, because that reduces our reliability of the pump. And by the way, we have a reliability agent as well in this team. So the power agent, power forecasting or energy forecasting, looks at what is the window where we have a certain band of price, and then predicts that using what is used in energy markets. So taking that and communicating that back to the operations agent, who can then decide when to pump. There's a safety agent that looks at environmental safety, operators in the area, a bunch of other things in terms of when can we pump safely and when not. So there's a safety override, and it's a safety agent. Again, the operations agent will now pump based on kind of when the right time slots. But if there's a certain critical level, I need to maintain that. The reliability agent looks at the infrastructure and go, the remaining useful life on this pump is 48 hours or whatever the number would be. I need 8 hours to get a crew to go and fix that. The crew is still a human crew. So there will be a work order that's created. But I need an 8-hour slot. So you need to fill the buffer so that we have 8 hours. So those are all conflicting things that a team of agents do really well. They can communicate with each other. And by the way, the communication mechanism at the back is MQTT. Using UNS and all those other good things, so we can monitor them. So we have monitorability and understanding of what they do and how they behave. But we also have a water quality agent in that same team, because we need to make sure that that the water quality is maintained at a certain level, because it's going into other critical infrastructure like cooling and others. So we need to maintain certain levels of water quality. And then there's agent that just track our KPIs. What these things are really good at is self-monitoring. And if we set a goal, they can check how good are we at the goal. They're much better than humans at self-reporting. Now, this example that I've just given you is it's a very narrow one, and that's typically how we see these. We're not trying to replace a job of the whole water plant operator. For this specific use case or this specific application, this team is organized around that goal, and they only focus on that goal, and we can measure that goal. And again, there's 6 of those agents in that. In a factory environment, real-time OEE optimizer, where it can have one of the agents is a simulator. Sorry, just to go back to the water one, seeing savings of like energy reduction of 25% on that specific use case. So, and it's not just the energy, but it's also the carbon, or the, you know, the carbon footprint of that. The other part of, like the OEE one, 4 agents, I think there's 4 agents in that one, running looking at first pass yield and a number of operational parameters inside a smart factory, but also optimizing OEE in real time. So there's availability agent or specialist, there's a reliability and quality specialists who are PhDs in there. Remember, we said we can pre-train them or put like a Python libraries and things in them so that they have that PhD capability. They all get the real-time information from the shop floor. And they can collaborate with each other, but they have their own observations, their own reflections, create their own plans, and those plans can then be shared. You can either have it supervised, where one agent can be the supervisor agent, or they can just collaborate and decide what plans to do. But there are other specialist support agents, like a simulation agent, which again has been grounded in something like SimPy. So it understands, how can I run a simulation in a factory? Say, if I do this, would it improve the output? So that will impact my OEE. So those are, and again, we know as humans, these are good things to do. We just don't have the time. We need to collect the data, or we need to put it in a spreadsheet, and we need to kind of do some of the analysis. These things can just do it in real time, continuously. And it focuses, and again, it's self-monitoring, and we can see the impact. Again, with OEE, the impact can be quite significant. And some of the results look like, you know, you can have like a 30% increase in OEE, but it also depends where you start. So, you know, but that's some of the interesting things that we're seeing with this multi-agents.